A minor fall, it's not a big deal except for the people whose houses are falling apart. We need your help. Please give generously. The rain began the way trouble often does, quiet at first, then suddenly everywhere. Jay, a 17-year-old bike courier, waited under a storefront awning, counting minutes he couldn't afford to lose. College felt far away, rent felt close, and tips came only when he arrived on time. As he stared at the flooded street, a gust flipped a crimson umbrella end over end until it landed against his shoe. A card hung from its handle. For whoever needs it most. Jay laughed, because right now that was definitely him. He popped it open, stepped into the storm, and noticed an elderly woman stranded at the curb, clutching bags that sagged like soaked paper. Delivery deadlines tugged one way. The red umbrella tugged the other. Jay exhaled, jogged over, and raised the canopy above her trembling hands. "Come on," he said. "Let's cross together before the light changes." Halfway through the zebra stripes, a speeding taxi painted the crosswalk with a sheet of water. Jay turned, shielding the woman as the wave smacked his back. She laughed a small, surprised sound, then pressed a receipt into his palm. "I'm Mrs. Alden," she said. "I used to be fast, now I'm grateful for young knees." The light flicked red. Jay should have sprinted away, but the woman's grocery bag was tearing. Without thinking, he offered to walk her to the next block. They shuffled past a florist, rain drumming the awnings like fingers on a table. "People keep moving faster," Mrs. Alden murmured. "But I've learned speed isn't the same as progress." Jay glanced at the time and winced. He had already lost 5 minutes, yet when they reached her stoop, he held the umbrella overhead while she found her keys, then followed her inside to set the bags down. "Tea?" she asked, already pouring. Jay should have declined, but his soaked hoodie made a squelch that answered for him. The apartment smelled like books and lemon polish. On the wall hung framed programs from orchestras and choirs. On a stand rested a violin whose strings glowed even in the gray light. "You a musician?" Jay asked. "A teacher," she said, handing him a towel. "Retired." He admitted he used to play guitar, but pawned it when bills stacked like dishes. Mrs. Alden's eyes softened. "Funny thing about storms," she said. "They show you who holds the umbrella." She opened a drawer and pulled out a weathered capo and a notebook titled Songs for Rainy Days. "These helped my students start again. Maybe they'll help you." Jay hesitated. Accepting felt like taking. Then thunder cracked so loud the window rattled. Then he found himself saying, "I'll make good on it." Back on his route, Jay pedaled hard. The red umbrella lashed to his bag like a flag. At the next intersection, an ambulance screamed past, forcing him to brake. A split second later, a delivery van fishtailed through the lane he would have been in if he hadn't been delayed. For a breathless beat, Jay stared at the splash pattern left in the van's wake and felt the rain cool his scalp. He wasn't religious, but he recognized a near miss when it slid by in a spray of headlights. He delivered the food, apologized, and braced for anger. The customer opened the door to a toddler dancing in the background and said, "You made it through this storm. Respect." He tipped extra. As Jay rode away, he touched the notebook in his pocket. Maybe, he thought, being late to the wrong moment had just made him early to the right one. Over the next week, Jay finished shifts and stopped in the park under a gazebo where the rain made a bead curtain on the roof. He borrowed a second-hand guitar from a friend, clipped on the gifted capo, and opened Songs for Rainy Days. The first page held a simple progression titled Shelter. He played it until his fingers remembered music like a language left behind and suddenly understood. People drifted by, slowing under the red umbrella's circle, lingering at the edges of the gazebo to listen. A woman with a stroller smiled. A jogger mouthed, "Nice." When the clouds broke, a barista from the corner cafe invited him to their open mic night. Jay said yes before doubt could argue. He texted a photo of the umbrella and notebook to Mrs. Alden with a thank you. She replied with a single line, "Pass the shelter on when you can." Open mic night tasted like nerves and cinnamon steam. DJ's hands trembled so much he nearly dropped the pick. He remembered being 12 and quitting the school talent show because a bully laughed at his shoes. But here he was 5 years later, fingers hovering over the strings of his guitar, about to play for real. The MC called his name. Jay took the stage, set the red umbrella open beside the mic like a small red moon, and looked out at strangers waiting to judge or cheer. "This song is called Shelter," he said, voice thin. The first chord buzzed. He winced, reset his fingers, and tried again. The second chord rang clean, then the third. The melody gathered itself, walked toward the chorus. And when Jay reached the line, "If you're tired of the weather, stand under my sky," a table near the back clapped in time. Others joined. Jay finished with his heart hammering but intact. The cafe owner offered him Saturdays. "People need warmth," she said. "Bring yours." Paragraph 7. Saturdays turned into a habit. Deliveries by day, music by evening. Jay started a tip jar labeled Umbrella Fund and promised to use it for small kindnesses. He bought ponchos for people sleeping rough. He paid a stranger's bus fare when the card machine glitched. He carried groceries for a neighbor whose cast signed "Get Well" in neon markers. Each time he helped, he pictured Mrs. Alden steadying herself under the red canopy and felt the guitars would hum against his sternum. One stormy night, a middle schooler hovered at the cafe door, soaked and hesitant. "You can come in," Jay said, waving her toward the heater. She stared at the umbrella on stage. "I have a speech Monday," she whispered. "I don't think I can do it." Jay unclipped the umbrella, pressed it into her hands, and smiled. "Borrow this. It's good at holding off weather." Paragraph 8. On Monday afternoon, the girl Nita burst into the cafe like sunlight. "I did it," she shouted. "I won the speech contest." She handed him the umbrella back, now looped with a ribbon and a tiny tag. "For whoever needs it next." Jay laughed so hard the barista shushed him, then hugged her anyway. That evening, a paramedic stopped by after a shift. "You're the cyclist who helped an older woman cross in last month's storm, right?" Jay nodded. The paramedic said the ambulance from that day had been rerouted to a cardiac arrest 2 blocks away. "We made it with seconds to spare," he said. "Sometimes a delay is a miracle wearing the wrong coat." Jay walked home under a sky scrubbed clean by wind, thinking about all the hinges a single choice can swing. He texted Mrs. Alden the story. She sent back a heart and a violin emoji. Paragraph 9. Spring loosened the city's shoulders. The cafe posted a flyer. Community night, bring something that helped you through a storm. People arrived carrying objects like quiet testimonies, a patched backpack, a faded photograph, a letter never mailed. Jay placed the red umbrella on a stand. One by one, attendees told brief stories. A widow held a recipe card. A teacher lifted a cracked whistle. Nina raised the ribboned umbrella and said, "When I felt small, this made me brave." Someone asked where it began. Jay described the note on the handle, the rain, and the kindness that started the chain. A photographer snapped a picture of everyone standing together behind the umbrella's arc like a community tucked under one roof. Later that night, the cafe owner posted the photo. By morning, messages trickled in from other cities. "We're starting our own shelter nights. Send the cord sheet." Paragraph 10. Weeks later, Jay visited Mrs. Alden with flowers and a printed photo from community night. She listened, smiling, and touched the violin case as if to thank every string for living long enough to hear the news. "You kept your promise," she said. Jay shook his head. "You kept me dry long enough to make one." As he left, the sky darkened again, and a woman at the bus stop shivered under a newspaper hat. Jay opened the red umbrella over them both. "For whoever needs it most," he said, and the woman laughed with the relief of the newly sheltered. The bus hissed, the storm softened. Jay watched the city breathe and understood the moral he would carry forward. Kindness docenti, and with you, it passes through you. The weather will always change, but as long as we keep sharing shelter, someone will find the courage to step back into the rain and keep going.